Very interesting.
Geoff, what are we doing?
Kelly, what are we doing? I don't know what we're doing, but I'm not sitting behind my camera properly. There.
Are you comfy now?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly. What are we doing?
So I want to do a thing where people kind of learn about you, because you're sort of coming onto the channel now and like gonna be involved in some videos and your voice is gonna be around, so I feel like people need to kind of know who Geoff is.
Cool. My name's Geoff. Hopefully everyone forgets that movie soon enough. Yeah, so I'm Geoff. I am a videographer. Such a weird word, videographer.
Why?
I don't know, photographer makes sense, but videographer just seems like so much less than what I do. But yeah, basically I've spent more than 20 years playing with cameras.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a kid I used to make videos with my friends, and we used to take 2 VCR machines and edit using 2 VCRs through a TV as the monitor. You know, so we used to make videos like that back in the day, and there was never any acting or anything. We'd like film stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
And at the same time I was a writer. That was just always my thing. And so journalism seemed like a good course to go and take my writing, not realizing that a big part of journalism is using cameras. And I think there was a part of me, as soon as I got introduced to broadcast journalism, I was like, radio DJ, that's what I want to do. And I worked in campus radio for a little bit, and I was like, cameras are way more exciting. And because I'd had that background as a child playing with cameras and things, being introduced to the idea of doing this professionally with proper cameras and proper editing and being taught how to do it, I immediately started making such cool documentaries.
That's awesome.
The first documentary I ever made, our brief was, it has to be an issue on campus and you've got to address it. And actually my friend Catherine did a story about wheelchair access, where she got into a wheelchair and tried to move around campus.
Awesome.
And shot
How did that go for her?
No, badly. There was stairs everywhere, and
Yeah.
there was one ramp, but it was like a delivery ramp or something.
Yeah.
And it was on the other side, you know, and everywhere had like 4 or 5 steps, and just getting into the computer labs and stuff, that was her thing. But I decided to figure out why so many computers were being stolen from the university. And being the 19-year-old rebel that I was at the time, I stole a computer, and I got a friend to film it. I wanted to see at what point I would get caught. So we set the camera up, and I ran into the computer lab and just started unplugging a computer that nobody was working at. Picked it up, and like people looked at me and then just carried on working. They just left me.
Wow.
And then I went running around the campus trying for security to stop me. So this guy's hiding away, filming, and there I'm running with a whole computer box. All over the place. Eventually I took it off campus, put it on the passenger seat with the camera in the car, and told them I didn't have my access ticket. So they said to me, okay, it's a £5 fine. And I was like, cool, I'll go fetch the £5. All with this stolen computer on the thing. And she let me out. And that documentary changed the way that security worked around computers and access.
That's awesome.
And
now they're like tied down and they're in cages.
Yeah, so like that was, I think, such a cool experience for me, is realizing you can make a documentary about something that is affecting you or other people, and that if you do it truthfully in the right way, even though we did it kind of tongue-in-cheek, it was a bit funny, but at the same time we were addressing an issue and there was a result afterwards, and that just got me on fire.
That's
so I started
awesome.
making documentaries about everything I could.
How do you feel about watching those things now, with your 20 years or whatever of experience?
I don't know, I'm quite impressed.
I'll
put a cut in this video of
yes.
like Geoff in 2004
Yes.
doing a documentary about street kids.
I love
Skinny
that.
Geoff.
Because I think like for me a lot of the stuff that like we see from like 2004 whatever, like I cringe at those things, and I'm like, I can't believe I said that. Like I can't believe that was like the vibe that I had, and it's cool that you look at it and you're like, that was pretty epic. Like,
I think on a technical level, like, and that's, there's two types of filmmakers, or camera people, or videographers, is that you get the like tech heavy guys, and for them it's all about the better my camera, the better my videos, and that is often the case with that mindset, is get all this equipment, I can make smooth shots, I can do these shots, I can do this, with this light I can do this, and they create very beautiful things. But cameras have just become so accessible these days that it's like nearly anybody can do it. And cell phone cameras are, so yeah, you can keep buying expensive equipment and getting better, but what is your video about? And that's where that's the other school of thought around with videographers, is that how do we tell the story? The camera becomes a paintbrush or a pen, or it's a storytelling device, and that's how I see it. So when I look at those documentaries, I'm like, I was actually running around with kids who lived on the street in some pretty dangerous places. That's what I'm impressed with. The technical side, as long as the visuals support the story, it's more the story that's important.
Yeah.
So when I look back, I was a lot braver back then. I hadn't ever been robbed before, I hadn't ever had to deal with the complexities of filming underprivileged children. I didn't know all that stuff, so I was just having fun and being brave and I don't think I would do anything like that now because of the amount of sensitivities around it, and I just wouldn't have been that stupid. Me literally on my own with 100,000 rands worth of equipment going and hanging out with street kids at night.
Yeah.
So that was a thing, but that was the beginning of a very interesting career.
Yeah.
From there, I worked for a production company. I was a scriptwriter and a producer, but I was still shooting and editing the weekend stuff.
Yeah.
Because the other guys were like, nah, we're busy, and I just used to take those opportunities and make whatever I could.
Hustle.
Yeah. And then I started working in community TV, and I did that for 3 or 4 years, and that's like a lot of training. I was a station manager, so I had a staff of interns basically making 5 or 6 hours of content a day, 5 days a week. So it was just a machine.
A lot of content.
Yeah. And there it's all about content. Who are we going to put in that chair? Because that's all we have.
Yeah.
We don't have a beautiful setting or environment. We just have a studio and what we're going to talk about. So that again, where content was so important.
And I think that's cool for like honing your creativity and stuff, and like figuring out how to use what you have in a cool and interesting way. You want to talk about how we met and like our friendship and stuff?
So I think that journey, eventually I ended up working for ETV and ENCA. I was making short documentaries, and one of the series that I worked on was called South African Heroes. And every month we were profiling somebody in South Africa that was doing something to better their community. And so it was just a constant process of finding incredible people. And one day the executive producer, my boss's boss, came to me and said, there's a story, I saw an advert, I don't know if it was on TV but it was the Bet Kaylee Can't. And he'd seen this, and he's like, he'd been to an event where you were at or something, but he was like, this is a true South African hero. You guys need to do the story. So I think I spoke to your mom first, probably. Yeah, she deals with media, her.
Yeah, my mom is the CEO, so she's the big boss.
So I spoke to your mom, and Mzee and I came and spent a couple of days with you, and we went and visited some schools, and we went with you to CrossFit, and we filmed the school that you have here, and all of that. And I think for me it was you and I just understood each other.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this the other day. I think the thing that like rooted our friendship, is that a weird way to say that? But like,
we'll use it.
We'll say that. We'll make it a thing now. I think the thing that made it work for us was like there was an equal appreciation for like the efficiency of the other person. Because like we've done videos and things before where people take decades to set up. and you're sitting here for like 40 minutes and they're moving the camera like 3 centimeters and it's like, I don't know, like, that's fine because you get beautiful things, but I'm also like, I have shit to do. And I think like you were super efficient with like setting up stuff, and you were like, right, we're gonna get this and it's gonna be one take and it's gonna be beautiful. And I'm like, cool, we're gonna do it in one take and it's gonna be beautiful. And then I think at some point you were like, do you want to say anything again? And I'm like, no, I said what I said. Like, you can do what you want with that. Like, so I think that was quite cool, and how like we connected at that level. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Was that the same for you, or
yeah.
like?
I mean, I like to work like that, and again, that's the thing of, the guys who are moving the camera a couple millimeters and stuff. Those are tech.
Yeah.
They come from that.
Yeah.
With me, it's a story. As long as the sound's good, there's a good enough picture. And I mean, here we're recording on a cell phone and a DSLR. Like, this is fine, but this is acceptable.
It's fine.
Instead of me going and spending 5,000 rand to rent a second camera, just use a phone.
Yeah.
I think for me, I don't know. I felt like we got each other, And I was also just like blown away by what you had done, like what you had achieved and what you'd done. And I've always been, in my circles, I'm the one that does the most stuff.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that does the crazy 5 a.m. missions and all of that. And suddenly I met somebody that made me feel lazy.
I think also like what fed into that was like, we're very much like balls to the wall, not at all people. And so like, you guys said to us, like, oh, we have 3 days to film this, and we were like, cool, let's do 12 things. So, like, because we are those people who do, like, a billion things at the same time. And so, like, I think with that, like, while we were filming that, I think there was, like, we went from CrossFit to, like, the school, and then we went somewhere else, and it was like 1 day, and we've been to like 5 locations. But then you also like, then you have everything in like 1 day, and then it's all good. And so, like, I think that's really interesting. That I'm very much about efficiency in like most places in my life, so I think like having that is but at the same time it's like I want stuff to be real, and like it's gonna be genuine responses, right? And like how do you feel about this happening? And like I want to like just in like how we speak and stuff. I'm like, Geoff, how are you doing though? In your soul, how are you doing? And like I think people like don't, I think that disarms people a little bit, and I'm like, it's okay for you to say that you're not feeling okay right now. Like, that's fine. But like, just let me know so we can navigate that. And with these videos as well, I'm like, Geoff, you want to say actual words now. But that's your training, right? That you sit and you like, you're not supposed to be like audible.
Yeah, I just nod, and I'm doing it now, even though there's a camera on me. Yeah, because it's also an interview thing. If I ask you a question and you give me an answer, and I just nod at you, I'm asking you to keep talking. And normally that's how I get.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, like you'll be answering, and I'm like, and I know you finished, but I'm just like, anymore, and because I need to get as much as I can. So yeah.
And I think that's interesting with me doing this with you as well, is that I'm like, I also feel like with the things that I do, like I always have people like doing stuff with me. I'm never doing stuff just like me socially, and so like I always sort of have people, and like in the videos that we're gonna post like going forward, it's gonna be like, oh Geoff, like that, like I'm gonna refer to you as a person who's like involved in like what we're doing, as somebody experiencing what I'm experiencing as well. You know, it's like, this is a very dramatic like example, but like you look at like Bear Grylls and the camera guy is doing equally extreme shit, but he's never like given a moment to be like, oh, that was intense, I almost died.
Like Bear Grylls' cameraman is doing everything that he's doing, but he's walking backwards.
With the camera!
Yeah.
Like, that's insane!
Yeah.
And I think it's like, I think it's quite cool as well to have you as like an existing presence like in the videos, because you're here anyway. So we may as well like involve you in this stuff. How do you feel about it?
Well, I'm uncomfortable about it. You finally have a camera on me.
Yes!
Like, this doesn't happen.
It took 6 years, but we're here.
Yeah, but it's something that I also need to accept, is that like journalists, I'm not somebody who likes to be on screen. I don't like that kind of attention. I'm scared of it almost. Like I don't enjoy that too much. And I think that the role of a journalist has become a bit muddied in the sense of they're just somebody who's talking. But the reason that we see a journalist in a video with a microphone is it's proving that the person telling us the story was there and experienced it themselves, which is what we're doing. And it's just in a different type of multimedia, new age kind of way of doing it, is that I'll be telling a bit of the story too. I'm making the videos and all of that. But as you say, I'm experiencing this stuff, and let's just chuck it in as well.
Yeah.
So we talk about breaking the fourth wall in videos, because when you're filming, there's only ever 3 walls. You know, that one, and that one. You never see this wall. This here is the 4th wall.
Yeah, guys.
You never see the scruffy side where there's all the lights and all
But
this
let's
stuff
check
going
the
on.
background.
You just see this beautiful shot of Kaylee. Meanwhile, there's a scruffy, beanie, bald man sitting behind the camera. That's definitely a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and it's also like media is becoming more unfiltered. You know, I could sit here and just chop the bits of what you say, so that it's only the big statements. We make a video like that, but for us to break this 4th wall and to have the conversation, and I think also you and I have very open, honest conversations. Yeah. So 7 and 7. I'm just jumping 4,000 steps ahead here.
Let's do that.
But yeah, so 7 and 7. We've been talking for years about filming stuff together. I remember during lockdown, that was when we started speaking a lot.
I was like, Geoff, how are we gonna do videos if we can't see?
Yeah, and I think then I started getting, like, watching what you were doing and realizing the impact of what you're doing. And, like, I don't know, just, we kind of had a conversation about it now, is that I think a lot of people with a similar condition to you may just accept, this is my life, this is, if someone's going to put something on my table, or someone's going to move me there, it's a mission to speak up about it, so I'd rather just keep quiet and get through my day. And I mean, that's just a mindset, and you just do not have that. And it's important, I think, because I know as somebody that had my own insecurities as a child, seeing somebody who had a similar situation to me being confident in situations where I'd be nervous, that would be really good for me at that stage. So, you know, I realize, aside from the awareness part of what you do, it's other people in a similar situation realizing I don't need to keep quiet. I don't need to accept that I'm going to be treated like this. You know, I can live a certain way, and there are people like me who have done the Comrades Marathon 6 times.
Yeah.
You know, that's really intrigued me, and it's important work, you know, so I think you and I have kind of figured out a way for me to jump out of my work. Although, I mean, I think your tenacity and your drive is the reason I'm here, because
I'm like, Geoff, you don't really have an option.
Yeah, and it's, you know, so with that is that you've also driven the fact that, or made me get to a point where I free up enough time so that
I'm
I can
like,
do
this
these
is
things.
worth it for you, Geoff.
But it is, you know, like I get to experience so many cool things in my work. I've just done like 4 African countries over 20 days. You know, so that kind of stuff I do. But this is just like there's just so much more, and there's such the card is full. Okay, yeah, so for 7 and 7, we committed to doing this thing, and I'm so excited for it. And I thought, you know, shooting 7 or more days in a row and coming back with a ton of footage to edit into something is a lot of extra work that we don't need. So, daily vlogging.
Yes!
This is not something that I've ever done before. And there's a lot of people who have done it every day for years, and I'm just like,
it's just 7 days, Geoff.
Yeah. So it's my own marathon,
Yeah.
and my own challenge, and I want to push myself as well. So we are aiming to shoot every day and to put the video up the next morning.
Yes.
Every single day through the trip.
Yes.
Which is exciting and scary because it's the same as you going, is it possible? Let's see. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's my challenge and my marathon, and we've got to figure out. Well, I've got to figure out ways of keeping it interesting because we're doing similar stuff every day.
Yeah.
So how to keep that interesting, and also like different aspects of disability, and what's it like to fly in a motorized wheelchair?
Yes.
What is it like getting through security at the airport?
Yeah.
What's it like getting a rental car? All these things that I've done thousands of times in my life. I've never thought, what's that like if I have a big heavy metal wheelchair that I need to be as close to me as possible?
Yeah.
You know,
preferably in.
Yeah, underneath me. Yeah. So that I want to capture all of that, and hopefully through these videos, we'll be able to create more understanding of what your life is like and what the life of people with similar conditions is like.
And I think what's cool with it as well is that like it's sort of showing a journey of like how you learn to be a really good ally to a disabled person, you know, because like you're gonna be there learning with us, and like the fact that I've flown like probably thousands of times as well, I'm used to the drama, but you're not used to it. So like your reaction to it will be very different to mine, and you'll probably have questions about it. And like I want it to be like an honest reflection of that journey of learning that disabled people can learn and non-disabled people can learn, and we can ask questions and get answers and like move forward with that together, you know. And I think having that be you, where you can do that while holding a camera, I think is a really cool like way of processing that journey and sharing all the insights and everything.
And my intrinsic curiosity has been given free license to ask you all these questions. And I think it's often like, as a media practitioner, sorry to use Oprah as a reference, but when you're watching Oprah, she asks the questions that are in your mind as a viewer. You're like, he said this about his mom, but what about that? And then she'll ask it. And that's her success, is that she's a voice of an audience. So in this sense, you've given me the license to ask these questions because that's how we learn more about disability.
And I'm going to be really honest with you about it. I'm going to be like, well, Geoff, that's really inappropriate that you asked me that. But here's why. Because I think there's so much like secrecy, I don't like that word, but like...
privacy.
It's not even that. We'll figure it out. We'll put a word like somewhere. Around disability, and it's like, it's like under the guise of like being respectful, right? That people will say stuff or do stuff and thinking that you're being respectful, but you're really not, because you're not acknowledging like the majority of what my life is. If you're pretending like my disability doesn't exist or that you don't have these questions.
You're not engaging with me genuinely. It's okay.
But I have learned that deleting photos gave us 3 minutes. Because this was what you're saying now is so good.
But we're getting some.
Hey, we have another camera that's still rolling.
Yay!
My memory cards are full because Katie
Yeah.
talks too much.
That is nice. Your memory cards are full because you haven't downloaded them onto your computer to edit.
Yeah, that's why. I have 500 gigs of Kaylee interviews on my memory cards and I haven't copied them over yet.
Don't judge me for wanting to batch edit.
Yeah, I've just had such a busy week.
Efficiency, yeah.
Yeah, I'm efficient when I shoot. Editing, we'll get there. Okay, I've nearly got enough space. These are things that don't happen that you never know about.
You gotta learn.
Yeah. The difficulties of being a media practitioner. It's not actually a difficulty. I just skipped a very important step of copying footage over before I came to shoot this morning. And Kaylee reminded me to charge everything.
I do that.
And I was like, I've got 5,000% of charge here, all loudmouth. Meanwhile, my memory cards are all full. And
But
I didn't bring a card reader with to the shoot, so I can't do this.
I don't know what that means.
So
What is a
I'm
card
deleting a card reader shows me what's on my memory card.
Oh,
And
that's
then
smart.
I can delete things in groups instead of going
One by
delete,
one.
erase, delete, erase, delete, erase, which is what I'm doing now.
At least you're getting like skillful at it.
No, there's no skill. I'm supposed to get annoyed at it so that I don't make this mistake again. Okay.
I'll just make a note so next time we film I'll remind you like, yeah.
Batteries and card readers, okay?
Yeah, no, it will be good. Okay, so what were you talking about?
Something about, are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I was saying something about like it being a genuine engagement between a disabled and non-disabled person, because you're gonna ask questions and I'm gonna be like, what? I've never thought about this ever. Because there are also things that are obvious to me as a person that's living as a disabled person that I would never think that anybody would ask a question about, but then you'll come and be like, hey, tell me about this. And I'm like, what? Okay, cool. There's a whole thesis on that I've never thought about, but like, so I'm excited because I think it's going to be like a learning experience for both of us, and I think it's cool that we get to take people on that journey of learning and also to share that it's okay to have conversations like this. You just have to approach them in a way that's not dickish.
Yeah, I think because it's the same as me. You'll say something and I'm like, I never thought of looking at that thing like that before.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes having these difficult conversations, you've got to be ready to correct yourself, which is difficult sometimes because it's.
Just keep going with yours.
I think it's difficult sometimes. I've lost my train of thought again.
To be connected.
Yeah. So like to actually be open to correction and open to realizing that I've said something hurtful. Like that sometimes I wouldn't know. Like the thing of someone saying to you, are you having fun? I don't think that's something I would necessarily say, but I had no idea before you told me about this that, now I understand how upsetting that is and why it's upsetting. So I may make those mistakes, and I think it's, as you say, it's such a good example of a disabled person and a non-disabled person understanding.
How you navigate that.
Yeah. And that it doesn't have to be this polite hush, don't ask those questions kind of a situation. We have this platform, let's talk about these difficult things. Let's help to understand and
Yeah.
kind of see where it goes. Before you start talking, I need to delete like 3 things, and then we gotta wrap it up. Yeah. So basically,
This is Geoff.
yeah, and I'll be the voice behind the camera. I think you're gonna convince me to get my face onto camera.
I really will at some point. But I think it's a journey, that's okay. And I'm just excited to have this be what we're doing and to have you involved in it. And I'm excited for people to see and hear your perspective on stuff and like expect to hear some random man's voice in the videos and like laughing or whatever, because that's what life is. It's not all pretty and like beautiful and perfectly synced and cut. Like it's all the drama and everything that makes things cool. So Geoff is here to stay.
Cool. I
Yay!
look forward to the adventure.
It's gonna be a good one.
How do we end?
Like that. Yay!
Yeah. Cut. Perfect.